Shall I start? Hello aspirants, welcome to Mohan Reddy Academy. In this session, let us understand about 1.1 in paper 1, that is meaning, scope and development of anthropology. So we have already announced that already classes has commenced in our app, that is Mohan Reddy Academy. You can download that particular app from the Play Store or the App Store from this thing. Okay, so where you can watch these classes. So without much delay, let's start today's session, that is 1.1. So what is the topic? It is meaning, scope and development of anthropology. So whenever you take any optional, so that in that optional first chapter will be what is the meaning of that particular discipline, what is the scope of that particular discipline, and how eventually that discipline has developed and it got established. So even anthropology follows the same rule. So now let us understand about the meaning and scope of anthropology, and later we will understand about how this anthropology has developed eventually. So when you are talking about the meaning of anthropology, we have two parts here. So one is etymological meaning, the other one is scientific meaning. So when we talk about etymological meaning, so etymology माने क्या होती है? What do you mean by etymology? We talks about the roots of the words. Okay. So if you carefully observe anthropology, anthropology is a combination of two words. So what are those two words? That is anthropos plus logos. Okay. So what does this anthropos actually mean? Anthropos mane man, because these two words are derived from language, that is Greek language. In Greek language, anthropos means man and logos means science of study. In this combination, it is called as science of study of mankind or man. So this meaning has actually continued for several centuries. And who has coined this word? So it is coined by a Greek philosopher and his name is Aristotle. So this meaning has continued for a lot of period of time. Later what has happened, when the women liberation movement was at its height in USA, that is between 1960 to 1970, between this time period. So the speakers of this women liberation movement, they have argued that anthropology is a science of study of man but not women, where women constitute 50% of the world population. So if you carefully observe this meaning, so it is completely gender biased. So eventually the scientists of anthropology had to revise the meaning of anthropology, making it gender neutral, and eventually the meaning of anthropology, the etymological meaning of anthropology, has actually changed in certain way. So it is right now called as, it is the science of study of humankind. So now it is called as the science of study of humankind, making it gender neutral. Okay, so now let us understand. Okay, the etymological meaning of anthropology. So we have already understood that anthropology is coined by the Greek philosopher, that is his time period, Aristotle's time period, so that is 384 to 322 BCE, and is derived from two Greek words, anthropos and logos, where anthropos mane kya hai? Anthropos and logos, which means man in English, and the science of study of the knowledge. So in this combination, it is like that. So the etymological meaning, did it actually change? Yes, the etymological meaning has changed. What is the reason behind that change? It is because of the women liberation movement, and that women liberation movement has happened during this decade, that is between 1960 and 70. So and then the speakers of this particular movement has criticized the meaning of anthropology, saying that it is completely gender biased, it is neglecting half of the world population, that is women. So eventually the scientists of anthropology had to rename it. Okay, they have replaced the word man with mankind or the humankind. Okay, so they have replaced it with humankind, making it gender neutral. So and now if anyone asks you what do you mean by anthropology, so you have to say that the etymological meaning of anthropology is a science of study of humankind. Now this becomes your etymological meaning. Now let us understand what is the scientific meaning of anthropology. So the current etymological meaning we have already understood, it is a science of study of humankind. Okay, so now if you are talking about the other aspects, neither the biology of the human beings or nor the culture of the human beings has developed. So in order to understand this aspect, first of all what you need to understand is that there is also another meaning for anthropology. It is called as science the scientific meaning of anthropology. So it is called as the scientific meaning of anthropology. So what is the scientific meaning of anthropology? Is saying that it is saying that anthropology covers about all the three aspects of humankind. So what are those three aspects of humankind? Those three aspects being biological, cultural and societal aspects of humankind. So it is covering three aspects of human beings. So that is biological, cultural and societal aspects of human beings. Earlier, if you carefully understand, prior to 18th century, anthropology as a separate discipline never existed. It was part and parcel of sociology. But later what has happened, it is because of the research methodology which is imbibed in anthropology. And the second thing is that anthropology has apportioned its subject matter into biological, cultural and social aspects of human beings, whereas sociology is concerned about the societal aspects and the cultural aspects of the humankind, but it never studies about the extinct humankind. So it will never study about the extinct beings, it never studies about the primitive aspects, and it never concentrates on the biological aspects of human being. So because it is covering all these three aspects in all places at all times. So anthropology covers all these three aspects in all places at all times. When it is covering all these three aspects in all places at all times, this particular science is called as a whole science. So this is called as a whole science, whereas the other sciences are called as part sciences. Why the other sciences are called as part sciences? Because they do not cover about the biological aspects. If they are covering about the biological aspects, they conveniently neglect about the cultural and societal aspects. Even though if they are covering about the biological, social and cultural aspects, they conveniently forget about these aspects, so which has happened in the primitive man or in the extinct human beings. Because of this thing, what has happened is that anthropology has emerged as a whole science. So because we are following these aspects, that is covering all the three aspects, so this approach is called as the holistic approach. So this approach is called as the holistic approach. And then there is a unique aspect in the anthropology. What is that unique aspect in the anthropology? So there is one tradition that is called as fieldwork tradition. So what do you mean by fieldwork tradition? Let us actually understand. And the fieldwork tradition in anthropology is considered as the hallmark of anthropology. Why it is considered as a hallmark of anthropology? Let us actually understand. So being an anthropologist, if he actually wants to study, if he or she actually wants to study about a group, that group can be anything, that group can be anything, that group can be a tribe, it can be a village, it can be simply a particular gender, or it can be about some geographical area. So the group can be anything. If an anthropologist actually want to study about a group, then what is he supposed to do? Initially, first thing, he has to select a field. The first thing is that he has to select a field. After selecting field, what is the second thing? He has to visit the field. After visiting the field, the third important thing is that he has to stay there for considerable amount of time. That amount of time can be anything. If you carefully observe about Bronislaw Malinowski belongs to the functional school of thought. Malinowski has stayed in Trobriand Island for 3 long years. In these 3 long years, he has studied about the biological, social, cultural aspects, economical aspects, religious aspects. Okay, so after studying about all these things, conducting interviews, considering data, then he has given a beautiful ethnographic work, and that is called as the Argonauts of Western Pacific. So this is because anthropologist invests his time, he studies about that, and then later what happens after visiting the site, after staying there for considerable amount of time. So staying there for considerable amount of time. And the fourth thing is that okay, he has to do this participant observation. So what do you mean by participant observation? Imagine if they are going for fishing. Anthropology should also go and he should record. I am not saying that he should also fish, but I am saying that he should go, he should observe their practices and why they are fishing, to what extent they are going. So if you are doing all these things, then that is called as a participant observation. Apart from that, he has to select a important person in that particular group who has information about that particular group and should conduct interview on them. After conducting interview, So then there will be some data which is, it must be redundant. Avoiding all these things, if he has compiled a beautiful account, that account is called as a monograph, or it is either called as a ethnographic account. Okay, so that is the reason fieldwork tradition is called as a hallmark of anthropology. It is because of this tradition which is absent in the other sciences, which makes anthropology a very unique subject because of the type of approach it has incorporated eventually. So here let us get back to the scientific meaning of anthropology. In the scientific meaning of anthropology, what did we actually study? We studied that anthropology covers about the three aspects of mankind. I mean to say humankind, that is the biological, cultural and social aspects in all places at all times. When you are talking about in all places at all times, then we are talking about the space-time continuum. Okay. So in this space-time continuum, what we have to understand is that neither the biology nor the society or culture has developed overnight. It is a product of millions and millions of years. Okay, neither the biology of the humans nor the culture or society of the human beings, it just did not happen within a night or within a year or within a span of 10 years. It's a product of millions and millions of years. So in this evolutionary line, as the biology is changing, so as the cultural development is also happening, so the societal development is also happening. So what we need to understand is that both the culture and society are dynamic in nature. So they are very dynamic in nature. So it can be at times regressive or it can be progressive also. Okay, so that is the thing which we actually cover. So they did not develop all of a sudden. What did not develop all of a sudden? That is the biology, culture and society of the human beings. It did not develop all of a sudden. They are the products of millions of years. And then at the same time, they show some uniformities as well as the diversities in different places. What do you actually find uniformities in all the cultures? So for an example, take the case of some institutions. If you are talking about the institutions, okay, marriage, family, kinship, religion, political organization, economic organization and so on. So all these things which are also present in the other culture. Okay, so we see these type of uniformities. And what do you mean by diversities? Even though you are seeing these institutions which are uniform in all the cultures, but the way how people get married, that is very different. That is what we call it as diversity. For an example, take the case of, so what is the nearest festival what we are going to celebrate? That is Holi. Okay, so Holi is widely celebrated in India. If you go to Spain, okay, they also celebrate some type of Holi which is called as Tomatino festival. So where they actually crush the tomato and they क्या करेंगे, फेंकेंगे एक के ऊपर एक, actually they do that. So that is a kind of festival which is uniquely found in that particular area. And just take the case of America, so where people doesn't know about the celebration of Holi. So we see uniformities, there are different festivals in different places. So but there is some diversity which is present. So January 1st is considered as a new year for Gregorian calendar. But if you come to India, so in every culture we see their new years. Okay, so for the Telangana and the Andhra Pradesh people, they celebrate their new year saying it as a Yugadi. Okay, do you understand this point? Okay, Americans celebrate Halloween festival, but the Halloween festival is not celebrated in India. So there are uniformities as well as the diversities, and therefore because of this aspect, anthropology is considered place and time dimensions. So definitely we will consider about the place, we will consider about the time dimensions as well. So we will study about the mankind which has developed in Africa. We will also study about the species which is found in Europe, which is found in Asia, which is found in Java, which is found in North America, South America. So ये सब क्या है? So we consider about the places, and we also consider about the time dimensions. What do you mean by time dimensions? Once upon a time, human beings are quadrupedal in nature. They are simply quadrupedal in nature. Okay, and moreover, it is because of the evergreen forests which are available during that period of time. Even the earth has witnessed so many changes. What type of changes you usually witness in the earth? Earth has witnessed some glacial periods, interglacial periods, pluvial periods. What do you mean by pluvial? आपको glacial already मालूम हुआ होगा. Glacial माने क्या है? The entire earth is embedded in the form of ice. That's what you usually find in the Pleistocene epoch. Okay, so and then we see the interglacial period. Did you watch that movie? Ice Age movie, there are so many parts. Okay, Ice Age में, so that exactly the rest of the story is fictional in nature, but what you need to observe there is that during that period of time the entire earth is actually embedded in the form of ice, and that has really happened. Okay, earth has also witnessed so many changes because of its proximity towards the sun and because of the other changes what it has faced. Okay, glacial periods, interglacial periods, pluvial periods. Pluvial माने क्या है? Pluvial means rain. Okay, pluvial periods, interpluvial periods. So there are so many changes even the earth has also witnessed. During these periods what has happened, the entire earth में बहुत ज़्यादा places में, in lot of places where you see so many forests are present. In this so many forests, okay, some species has actually developed this quadrupedalism and they started staying on the trees. That type of lifestyle is called as arboreal. So what do you mean by arboreal? If the species is actually staying on the trees, then we call it as the arboreal nature. The species started staying on the trees and is constantly jumping from one place to another in order to satisfy its needs. What are those needs? We call it as the biological needs. Biological needs माने क्या है? So satisfying your hunger, quenching your thirst, mating, all these things comes under the biological needs. Eventually, it's because of the different changes which has happened on the earth, this evergreen forest has reduced and giving rise to the greater savannas. What do you mean by savannas? Savanna माने क्या होती है? Savanna में, so the tall grasses will actually prevail. Very tall grasses. Imagine that if there is a tree here and after 1 kilometer if there is a tree, okay, कितना बड़ा grass है. So now the animals which are staying on this tree, so this tree alone cannot actually be self-sufficient. They cannot satisfy all their needs staying on the same tree. So in order to satisfy their needs, what they are supposed to, they have to jump down these trees, walk in these tall grasses and reach other places in search of the resources. During this period of time, he being on quadrupedalism, constantly he is raising, looking around the predators, because this is a new phenomena what he is facing. Once again bending down, once again rising up, checking about the predators, and this exercise has continued for millions and millions of years, or this exercise has continued for thousands and thousands of years, or the lakhs and lakhs of years. Eventually it is because of this exercise what has happened, some morphological changes has happened in his spinal cord. So the spinal cord has witnessed some changes. So from quadrupedalism, quadri माने चार, pedalism माने which means walk. Okay, from quadrupedalism, walking on 4 limbs, eventually what has happened, he has developed this knuckle walking. What did he develop? He has developed this knuckle walking. So what do you mean by knuckle walkings? These are called as knuckles, like how the gorillas, chimpanzees actually walk. So he has developed knuckle walking, and once again in that thing also some species, even after that they also started doing the same exercise. Eventually they have obtained bipedalism. Okay, so Australopithecus afarensis, it is witnessed that Australopithecus afarensis has walked on 2 legs, bipedalism, which is nicknamed as Lucy. So here what we are covering? So we are covering about the places as well as times. Okay, let me erase this. So here हम क्या कर रहे थे? हम places के बारे में पढ़ रहे थे. We will study about the man, how he is in Europe. Okay, Neanderthal man के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. Homo heidelbergensis के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. We will also study about the species which is obtained in Africa, of Australopithecus afarensis, Africanus, Paranthropus, Bosai, इतने सारे species के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. Okay, we will also study about the Java man in Asia. We will study about the Shivapithecus. We will study about the Ramapithecus, which is found in our own subcontinent, Indian subcontinent. So we are covering about the places. We are also covering about the time dimensions, in different time dimensions. So at any given point of time, how the man was. Okay, so what type of environment, in what type of environment he has actually lived, what type of diet he has ate. Okay, इतने सारे चीज़ों के बारे में एंथ्रोपोलॉजी पढ़ती है. And the time dimension is in the form of past and the present. Once upon a time we were like this, and right now we are not like this. And please don't think that this is the ultimate form what the human beings has achieved. No, still the biological changes, the morphological changes are happening. So how these morphological changes are happening? Constantly we are engaged in the phone, bending our head like this, we are engaged on the phone, we are working on the laptop, we are working on the desktop. So if this continues for some generations, later what will happen? There will be some morphological changes which will happen to the forehead, where we will once again get this bent posture. Okay, probably ho sakta hai. Okay, so what you need to understand, that the biology, culture and society of the human beings are always dynamic in nature. Okay, so it will reveal, so what it will reveal, the time dimension will reveal how man was, how he was particular in that place and how man is particular in the other place. Okay, इतने सारे चीज़ों के बारे में भी हम पढ़ेंगे. So moving on, the scientific meaning of anthropology. I think we have studied about the scientific meaning of anthropology. Let us see whether we have covered everything or not. Okay, anthropologic de hominins, and this is authored by who? That is Magnus Hunt in the year 1501. In 1501, Magnus Hunt has mentioned about the anthropological hominids, where he has explained that anthropology is a study of human anatomy and physiology. So he is talking about that anthropology covers about the only human anatomy and human physiology. But this particular statement is not correct. Okay, it is not giving a holistic picture about the anthropology, and it is narrowing that subject to very basic concepts, because so we don't restrict ourselves only to the biology. हम क्या biology के बारे में ही पढ़ेंगे? Are we neglecting about the cultural and societal aspects? No, right? So this particular definition, whatever he has given, is not satisfying, or it is not giving the complete picture of anthropology. And then the German and Central European scholars, they have mentioned that anthropology, so in the language it is called as anthropology. So they are saying that anthropology is a study of physical and moral aspects. So they are saying that it is just a study of physical aspects as well as moral aspects. Moral aspects mean, according to them, probably it is just a culture. So just look at this gentleman, he is none other than Edward Bernard Taylor. So Edward Bernard Taylor, he belongs to the classical evolution school of thought. This guy actually belongs to the classical evolution school of thought, and he is a British anthropologist. Okay, so according to him, what is anthropology? He is saying that is a science of culture. He just narrowed down to culture alone, conveniently forgetting about the biological and the societal aspects of the humankind. So now he is explaining that the culture includes, according to him, what is culture? He is saying that culture में क्या क्या होते हैं? He is saying that culture में knowledge होते हैं, belief होती है, arts, morals, laws, customs and the other capabilities, और भी capabilities हो सकते हैं eventually what people can acquire. So that is his opinion about culture. So this is not the perfect meaning of anthropology. Okay, so and he is saying that being a member of society, whatever it comes under the knowledge, belief, art, morals, laws, customs and eventually what are the capabilities which he acquires, according to him, that is what is culture. And he has authored a book that is called as Primitive Culture in the year 1871, where he has explained about animism. So it is a type of religion. Animism के बारे में उन्होंने बोला है. Okay, and he is saying that the cultural evolution, so he belongs to the cultural evolution school of thought. And what type of cultural evolution school of thought? It is classical in nature. So he belongs to the classical evolution school of thought, and they follow one approach. That approach is called as unilinear approach. उस approach को हम क्या करके बुलाएंगे? It is a unilinear approach. What do you mean by unilinear approach? Saying that every society, wherever the place it is actually present, in every society they follow the same path. What is that path? It starts from savagery. From savagery people will move to barbarism, and from barbarism people will move to civilized society, irrespective of the places where I was staying, even though if they are located very remotely. Okay, this is how the transition usually happens. So what is that? That is from savagery say barbarism say civilization. So and people actually think in the same manner. They believe that everyone in society, wherever the place they are staying on the earth, they think in the same manner. That's what the cultural school of thought actually, the classical school of thought actually believes. And what is the reason why people are thinking in the same way? They give some reasoning to it. The reason is the it is because of the psychic unity. They say that it is because of the psychic unity which is present in the human beings. All the human beings are thinking in the same way, which is actually incorrect. Okay, eventually this school of thought was heavily criticized. And then comes another great anthropologist. He is known as Franz Boas. Franz Boas is considered as the father of American anthropology, and he belongs to the historical particularism. He belongs to which school of thought? He belongs to the historical particularism school of thought. And he also proposes, apart from that, he also proposes cultural relativism. So इन्होंने क्या किए हैं? He has proposed about the cultural relativism. Okay, so he has proposed this. So according to him, he is saying that anthropology is a holistic discipline. That is correct, and it studies about studying man in all aspects. So, and he is also giving explanation what are those all aspects. Those are all aspects being the biological, cultural, linguistic and anthropological. Of course, he has forgot about the societal aspects, okay, but apart from that he has mentioned about the linguistic and archaeological. Okay, linguistic and archaeological are the sub branches in the anthropology, which has later what the anthropologist has derived, which is very close to the scientific meaning of anthropology. And he emphasized the importance of field work. He himself actually went to Baffin Islands, which are located in the north part of Canada. So Canada mein north part mein there are some islands. The name of those islands are called as the Baffin Islands. He himself has made 12 field trips. Okay, उन्होंने 12 field trips किए हैं. Okay, and he actually explains about the cultural relativism. What do you mean by cultural relativism? There will be certain traits which are present in the different cultures and where you can actually relate to each other. So that type of approach is called as an emic approach. उस type of approach को क्या करके बुलाएंगे? Emic approach, where you have to see a culture. How you have to view a culture? You have to view a culture with the insider point of view, not with the outsider point of view. When you see a culture from the outsider point of view, where you will actually have this biasness, okay, where you will display ethnocentrism.